Speaking of papal primacy, we have the Balduschino, again by Bernini. Now, a Balduschino simply refers to a silk canopy, or in this case, a silk canopy represented in bronze, and it's a ceremonial canopy of stone, metal, or fabric over an altar, throne, or doorway. It's a sign of respect for whatever's underneath it. Now, the structure of the Balduschino serves to both mark the tomb of St. Peter as well as the high altar, and it creates an interaction with the dome above. Again, that idea of verticality, drawing the eye up, in this case, into the inside of the dome above it. It also creates a dramatic presence in the crossing and creates a visual framework for the throne of Peter at the far side of the church. Now, the throne of Peter is going to be important because this speaks to the power and authority of the church, that Peter is the first pope, and he is appointed by Jesus, and therefore the papacy has legitimacy, something very important in a post-Reformation world. The spiral columns are reminiscent of those of prior Baldacchinos in the old St. Peter's, thereby invoking the past primacy of the church and sort of drawing that credibility forward, giving them that sense of legacy. At the top of the columns, we see 4 massive angels standing guard. And they're basically guarding both the altar, the tomb, and the papacy at the same time, giving a sense of divinity within the space. 4 serpentine brackets, these curved pieces here, will uphold the orb and cross, symbols of the church's power and triumph. The orb, that they have primacy or leadership or authority over the entire world. Of course, the globe representing the world, and then the cross, their Christian values. So this gets across again that idea of power. The structure is also covered, and it's very difficult to see, but it's covered in bees. We see it here, and we see it here in the vinework. Those bees, and they actually serve a purpose. That's a reference to the Barberini, the family of Pope Urban VIII. And that's why you see a lot of bees throughout the Vatican, is the Barberini family is going to be very powerful when it comes to the papacy. The structure overall gives visual form to the triumph of Christianity and papal doctrine of supremacy. So Bernini did not do most of the casting, but rather constructed it with skilled craftsmen. Basically, he creates the forms, the models, and then the craftsman will translate that into bronze. This has 2 advantages. First of all, it uses less material because the skilled craftsmen will know what they're doing. Second, it frees up Bernini to be sort of the inspiration behind it. He's creating the idea, but he doesn't have to take the time to actually create the piece, freeing him up to work on other projects. Now, most of the bronze was taken from the portico and structure of the Pantheon. And this is kind of interesting. Ideologically, it's appropriate for a church which focused on the rejection of paganism, especially at the time. The triumph and grandeur of the church is embodied in these structures. So when one enters the piazza following the main access down Maderno's nave to the Balduschino and further to the seat of the church's power, the focus of St. Peter's is not God. Rather, it's establishing the power of the church even as it began its slow descent to today. So the entire thing, the Balduschino, the Maderno's facade, Bernini's piazza, this is all about power, drawing power to the papacy, which felt that it was losing power in the age of the Reformation. They wanted to show that the papacy, corrupt or not, was the most powerful institution on the face of the earth. And what better way to do it than through massive architecture that really serves as propaganda for this papal primacy and later papal infallibility that they're going to pursue.